probe into scandal over the lawmakers' aides.
Government slammed over proposed pay cut.
US launches Philippine disaster appeal.
Rwandan genocide suspect is arrested.
The DHK Evening News with Ivan Leung and Amy Blom.
Good evening. The Democratic Party says it's setting up an independent task force to investigate the scandal surrounding the sacking of one of its legislators, Kang Nam-wai, and his female assistant. There is a speculation that Mr. Kam fired the woman last month after she rebuffed his advances. The party has asked the Hong Kong Human Rights Monitor to select 3 members investigating team to consist of representative of the academic circle, women's rights group and human rights organization. It said that Mr. Kam's former aide, Kimmy Wong, refused the invitation to give her a vision of what happened. The inquiry will, based on the information has already disclosed publicly. The chairman of the Democratic Party, Albert Ho, stressed that the probe would be fair and just. However, he urged that Mr. Kam to tell the truth after Insto sentence was reviewed as his previous explanation of what had happened.
Dozens of foreign domestic helpers in Hong Kong have protested against the government's decision to exclude them from the proposed minimum wage law. A Legislative Council committee is consulting organisations about the issue. The protesters marched from the Legislative Council to the central government offices. They said the bill, which excludes live-in domestic workers, was discriminatory and unacceptable.
The legislators have slammed the government for proposing a pay cut of 5% for senior civil servants. They say administration was acting dishonourable way, being highly-handed and unfair to the group because of its proposal freezing the salary of middle-low-ranking staff. The lawmaker says the pay of senior servants should be frozen. This came of scrutinous bill setting the pay cut. Independent lawmakers and former Secretary of the Security, Regina Ip, called administrations to withdraw it.
The Independent Commission Against Corruption has issued guidelines to help charities better manage their accounts and fundraising activities. The best practice checklist includes promoting a culture of integrity and introducing checks and balances to prevent abuse. The ICAC Commissioner, Timothy Tong, says people here donate a huge amount of money to charities each year, with the sum reaching $7 billion last year. He said it's hoped the guidelines will help tighten up the management of charity proceeds.
Now, New World China Land has asked the Legislative Council to agree the Constitution challenge the LegCo's power directly to the territory's highest court. 2 of the company's top executives, Henry Cheng and Stewart Leung, contest the power of a LegCo selected committee to summon them in the contest of first instance, but the judge reselected the argument last month. They now want to take the case directly to the Court of Final Appeal instead of going through the Court Appeal. The selected committee wants to question the pair over their firm's hiring former buildings director Leung Chin-man, and the selected committee chairman Lee Feng-ying says the LegCo lawyers are following up the request. However, the committee says is sticking to its planned summons the executive next month.
Time for international news now. The Speaker of the Irish Parliament, John O'Donoghue, says he'll resign next week amid controversy about his expenses claims. In the past 7 years, Mr. O'Donoghue spent over US $800,000 on foreign travel. His travel bills include a US $1,400 a night stay in a Paris hotel.
Now, the UN has launched an appeal of US $74 million to help the people in the Philippines to recover from severe flooding. Up to 300 people were killed and hundreds of thousands of people fled their homes to escape the effects of violent storms last week. It is aimed to help 1 million worst affected people in the country for 6 months. UN's humanitarian coordinator John Holmes says it would raise money for other countries the regional struck by a disaster.
US President Barack Obama has said his decision on a new strategy in Afghanistan will not please everyone. He told key figures from Congress gathered to discuss future US plans that he would decide the question with a sense of urgency. Democratic Senator Harry Reid said members from both parties told Mr. Obama they would support his decision. But Republican Senator Mitch McConnell stressed backing would depend on Mr. Obama following his general's advice. The talks at the White House came as debate intensifies over whether the US should send more troops to Afghanistan. About 30 senior congressional figures from both parties' leaderships and key House and Senate committees were involved. Democratic Speaker Nancy Pelosi said there had been some agreement, but also some diversity of opinion. Former Republican presidential candidate Senator John McCain urged Mr. Obama to take heed of the advice given by generals on the ground.
The British author Hilary Mantel has won the Man's Booker Prize for fiction of her novel Wolf Hall about the life and time of Tudor statesman Thomas Cromwell. Miss Mantel has been worked strong favour to win the award, which is open to works in English by authors in the Commonwealth and Ireland.
A car bomb has exploded in a busy marketplace in western Iraq, killing at least 9 people and wounding many others. The blast happened outside the city of Fallujah. It's the second deadly bombing in Anbar province in as many days. On Monday, a suicide bomber killed 6 people at a funeral in the city of Haditha.
The British government says it will soon withdraw, but the emergency funding of all camps where about 250,000 dispatch Tamils are confined in the northern Sri Lanka. The announcement came after Prime Minister Mike Forster has visited the biggest camp.
The former Bosnian Serb leader Radovan Karadzic has appeared before the International War Crimes Tribunal in The Hague. He is charged with 11 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity allegedly committed during the Bosnian War of the 1990s. This was a pre-trial hearing. The trial itself is due to begin later this month, but Mr. Karadzic, who is defending himself, has asked for more time to prepare his case.
Now, Italy's court has begun revealing a law which has given Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi immunity for prosecution while he's in office. If the court decides that the law is unconstitutional, the number of cases against Mr. Berlusconi could be reopened, including one he is accused of corruption. Mr. Berlusconi says his immunity allows him to govern without distraction. His lawyer Gaetano Pecoraro says this law should only be reviewed on legal grounds.
One of the most wanted suspects in Rwanda's 1994 genocide has arrived at the International Tribunal for Rwanda in Tanzania. The man, Alphonse Nizeyimana, was arrested in neighbouring Uganda. Mr. Nizeyimana is accused of ordering the killing of the Rwandan Tutsi Queen, attacking Tutsi university teachers, and establishing roadblocks at which Tutsis were captured before being killed.
Now, the Justice Minister in Switzerland has refused a request of a release on bail of film director Roman Polanski. The ministry says there was a high risk that he might flee. Roman Polanski was arrested in Zurich last month on a warrant issued in the United States, where he was wanted for sentencing for having sex with a 13-year-old girl in 1977. Hundreds of Hollywood directors and stars have signed a petition calling for his release.
And finally tonight, some bad news for the Google Mail user on the internet, because Google has confirmed the users of its email system, Gmail, have been affected by a security breach that saw thousands of passwords posted online. Google said that breach was part of an industry-wide attack, and it had told users to change their passwords. The BBC said it had seen a list of more than 20,000 web-based email accounts and passwords, including Gmail, Hotmail and Yahoo, that had been briefly posted online. That's all the news for now. Thank you for listening. Good night.
Yep. Have a good night. Bye-bye.